You have a generator in the garage, a Tesla in the driveway, a Ring doorbell, smart locks, Wi-Fi cameras, solar panels on the roof, a phone in your hand with $10,000 of apps, banks, maps, memories. You feel prepared. I want you to understand something. One electromagnetic pulse, high altitude, single detonation, and every single one of those things is dead. Not broken, not repairable, dead. The stuff you spent thousands of dollars on, gone in a nanosecond. And here is what nobody tells you. For every expensive thing that dies, there is a cheap, old, stupid thing that keeps working. Old because it has no chip, stupid because it doesn't need one. This video is 10 things you trust that die first and what actually survives. Not a list of gear, a list of what stays standing when the lights don't come back on. Start with what you drive. Your car is a computer on wheels. Engine control unit, electronic fuel injection, digital ignition.
We need to replace the auxiliary unit.
Anti-lock brakes, keyless entry with a chip inside the fob, backup camera, lane departure, adaptive cruise, infotainment, Bluetooth. A new Ford F-150 runs on roughly 150 million lines of code. That is more code than the space shuttle used across its entire 30-year program. Department of Transportation testing on post-2000 vehicles after simulated high-altitude pulse, more than 90% suffered critical electronic failure. 90%. Your $40,000 SUV becomes a metal box in the driveway, a heavy one that you now have to push. Think about what that means on the first morning. You step outside. Your neighbor's Camry is silent. The Tesla across the street has a dead screen where the dashboard used to be. The school bus on the corner didn't start. The trash truck that was supposed to come Tuesday is parked wherever it stopped Monday. The Amazon van, the UPS van, the ambulance, the fire truck. All of them post-2000. All of them circuit boards wrapped in steel. The first thing you notice on day one isn't the lack of electricity. It's the silence where engines used to be. Look back to 1859, the Carrington event. A coronal mass ejection hit the Earth. Telegraph offices caught fire. Operators reported sparks jumping from the equipment. Some telegraphs kept sending messages after the operators unplugged them, powered by nothing but the geomagnetic current in the wire. That was 1859 technology. Iron, copper, wood. Your vehicle has a processor every 4 inches. So what moves when the cars stop? Pre-1980 vehicles with points ignition and mechanical fuel pumps. A 1978 Ford truck with a carburetor and a distributor will crank and go. No chips, nothing to fry. The old farmer down the road, who never updated, has the only running vehicle in the county. A 1972 Chevy, a 1974 International Harvester, a late 70s diesel Mercedes with mechanical injection. Old, ugly, loud, still moving. Or simpler, a bicycle. 15 miles per hour on human power, no fuel, no electronics, no line at the pump because there is no pump. An old hybrid bike from a garage sale moves a man and 40 pounds of gear across a county in a day. A trailer hooked to the back, the kind parents use to pull toddlers, carries another 60 pounds. A bike plus a trailer is a half-ton truck, if you have patience and legs. The part nobody talks about, a bike also fixes. Every part of a mechanical bicycle can be repaired in a garage with basic tools. Chain, tire, brake cable, bearing. No proprietary firmware, no dealer diagnostic port. The same can be said for a 1978 truck. A modern hybrid? Its transmission is controlled by a computer that cannot be replaced because the factory is a continent away and the factory no longer exists. Do not count on your hybrid car. It has more electronics than a regular car, not fewer. The battery management system, the regenerative braking controller, the drive inverter. Every one of them is a circuit board. You did not buy a backup. You bought 3 more things that die. Move to the garage. Your generator, $3,000 dual fuel standby, nicely covered tarp, fresh oil, fuel stabilizer in the tank, started last month for testing, everything by the book. Inside that generator is an electronic ignition controller and an automatic voltage regulator. Both are circuit boards. Both die in the pulse. The engine is fine. The fuel tank is fine. The wiring is fine. One dead chip, and the whole machine is a lawn ornament that takes up half your garage. Picture the second day. You pull the tarp off. You press the starter. Nothing. You check the fuel valve. Fuel is there. You check the oil. Oil is there. You press the starter again. Click. Nothing. You open the panel. You see the little green light that should be on. It isn't. The circuit board is cooked. There is no part store. There is no Amazon delivery. The generator is a paperweight until you can source a replacement controller from a supplier that no longer has power either. Inverter generators are worse, not better. More sensitive electronics, not fewer. That quiet Honda you paid extra for because it hums instead of roars? More chips, more failure points, more things to lose. What works? A wood-burning rocket stove, 0 electronics. You feed it twigs and it boils a pot of water in under 10 minutes. A Coleman Classic dual-fuel 2-burner with mechanical ignition. Strike a match, turn the valve, cook. A Dakota fire hole costs nothing. Dig a pit, dig a second pit next to it connected at the bottom. Light a fire in the first pit. Airflow through the second. Low smoke, high heat, no signature from a distance. A technology from the Plains tribes. Still works. One observation from watching groups build out: everyone buys the generator first. Almost nobody buys the fuel. A 20-kilowatt generator with 2 gallons of gasoline is a showpiece. That is a leader's mistake I have seen 3 times in a row. Your phone, dead. Battery may survive the pulse if the phone is off and deep in a drawer, but the cell towers won't. Cell towers run on backup generators or battery banks. The Federal Communications Commission requires roughly 8 hours of backup at most sites. Carrier testing after Hurricane Maria, towers ran 24 to 72 hours before failing. Then, silence. Permanent silence. Your internet? Gone. Your GPS? Gone. Your text to your mother across town? Gone. The photos of your kids from last summer that you never backed up to anything but the cloud? Gone until power comes back. If it comes back. The real question isn't whether the network dies. The real question is, who in your circle has a plan for the moment it does? A rally point, a time, a meeting schedule. If you cannot call your spouse at work, where do you meet and when? If the kids are at school, who gets them and how do they know? Most families have never had this conversation. The conversation takes 15 minutes. It must happen before the pulse, because after the pulse, you cannot call anyone to schedule it. You have seen what a summer blackout in the Northeast can do. Cell networks collapsed in hours from overload alone, with the towers still standing. Now imagine the same call volume, but the towers are also dead, and the satellites are compromised, and the internet backbone is offline. A short outage becomes forever. What works? A hand crank AM/FM NOAA emergency radio. Turn the crank, receive the weather service and any surviving local AM station. A Baofeng UV5R analog two-way radio, if you stored one in a Faraday cage before the event. Tuned to family radio service or ham simplex frequencies, you talk to your group across 3 miles of urban terrain. A whistle on a lanyard for close range. 3 blasts is distress in every survival tradition on the continent. Faraday cage in 1 paragraph. A metal ammo can from any army surplus. Line the inside with cardboard. Place your Baofeng, your hand crank radio, a spare phone, a small solar charger inside. Close the lid. That is it. The metal skin conducts the pulse around the contents. Cardboard keeps the electronics from touching the metal. Test it by putting the phone inside, closing the lid, calling the phone. It should go straight to voicemail. If it rings, your seal is bad. The common mistake, a gap where the lid meets the body. A single hairline gap, where metal does not touch metal, creates a slot antenna that lets the pulse inside. The fix is conductive tape across the seam, or a strip of aluminum foil folded over the lid edge. Test. Test again. Test a 3rd time with a tablet, a radio, and a timer app. A cage that fails silently gives you nothing on day 1 when you need it most. Water. This is the one that moves fastest. City water arrives at your tap because electric pumps push it there. Every municipal system in America is pump-driven. Pumps are electric motors with circuit boards in the control systems, in the pressure sensors, in the chlorination monitors, in the SCADA that tells the control room what is happening across 40 miles of pipe. Pulse hits, pumps stop, sensors die, control room screens go black. You get 30 to 90 minutes of residual pressure from the elevated storage tanks and the pipes themselves. Then the faucet is decoration. Turn the handle. Nothing. Turn it again. Still nothing. Your entire water system is a pressurized memory. And it's not just the cold tap. Your toilet flushes once or twice from the tank, then the tank doesn't refill. Your water heater has 40 gallons inside of it. That's a stockpile if you remember to drain it. Your dishwasher, your laundry machine, your ice maker, all of them assume water will arrive on demand. The house was designed around a municipal promise that just broke. Hurricane Maria, Puerto Rico, 2017. The pulse was a hurricane, not an EMP, but the failure pattern was identical. Pumping stations lost power. Some municipalities in the interior had no running water for over a month. Hospital wards filled with people drinking from streams and roadside puddles. Giardia, Cryptosporidium, E. coli, diarrheal disease in the middle of a modern American territory. Not a war zone, a territory of the United States. Your Brita pitcher does not save you. Brita removes taste. It does not remove pathogens. Your countertop UV purifier is dead electronics. Your reverse osmosis system needs pressure, which it doesn't have, and it needs power, which you don't have. What works? Mechanical gravity-fed filtration. A Berkey gravity system filters 4 to 6 gallons a day through ceramic elements with 0 power. A Sawyer Mini or Sawyer Squeeze filters through a 0.1 micron hollow fiber membrane, purely mechanical, no batteries, rated for 100,000 gallons before it clogs. A water bob fills your bathtub with 100 clean gallons as soon as you hear the word warning, before the pressure drops. A small irony, the life straw is a great Instagram photo. In practice, you are face down over a puddle, sipping through a tube, while your arms shake from holding the position. A gravity filter stays on a table. You pour dirty water in the top. Clean water drips into a pot. You stand up straight and do something useful while gravity does the work. Choose the tool that lets you walk away from it. The Brita removes taste. A Sawyer removes Giardia, Cryptosporidium, cholera, and E. coli. Different tool, different job. Your kitchen has one of them. Rooftop solar. This one is complicated. The panels themselves are silicon wafers with no chips. They might survive the pulse, especially if the wiring acts as an antenna that directs the energy elsewhere. Honest answer? We don't know for certain, because no full-scale test has been run on a modern residential array. But the inverter? Dead. The charge controller? Dead. The grid-tie microinverters on each panel? Dead. Without those, your panels are generating electricity that goes absolutely nowhere. $15,000 on the roof, 0 watts to the house. Your $15,000 rooftop solar system has one inverter. That inverter has one circuit board. That circuit board is the reason the whole array is useless on day one. What works? A small, foldable solar panel, 60 to 100 watts, folds flat, weighs under 4 pounds, stored in your Faraday cage. A small lithium power station, the kind with an input jack, also stored in the cage. Not your house battery wall, a handheld unit. After the event, you unpack, unfold the panel, plug it into the power station, charge phones, headlamps, the Baofeng, a small LED lantern. Enough power to run communications and light for a family. Not enough to run a refrigerator. That is the real trade. A Tesla Powerwall on the wall is useless. A 40-watt panel in a cardboard-lined ammo can keeps your radio alive. Priorities by wattage. A Baofeng radio transmits at 5 watts and charges on less than 10 watt-hours a day. A phone is 15 watt-hours to full. An LED headlamp runs for 2 weeks on a set of rechargeable AA's and 4 hours of sun to refill. A laptop is 50 to 80 watt-hours. A small chest freezer is 800 watt-hours a day and 100 watts continuous, out of reach for a folding panel. Know your numbers before you buy your kit. Most people buy the panel first and never check what it can actually do. Your smart home? Gone. Ring doorbell, Wi-Fi device with a chip? Dead. Smart locks, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi with a chip? Dead. Nest thermostat? Dead. The Google Home listening in the kitchen? Dead. Wi-Fi cameras around the perimeter? Dead. Alarm system talking to a monitoring sensor over the internet? Dead. The garage door opener with its little remote? Dead. The app-connected sprinklers, the robot vacuum, the smart fridge that knew when you ran out of eggs? Dead, dead, dead. Your smart home is now dumber than a log cabin in 1850. At least the cabin had a door that worked. One subcategory matters more than the rest: the smart lock. Many modern smart locks fail open when power is lost. For safety reasons, you don't want to be trapped inside during a fire. That means the moment the pulse hits, your front door may quietly unlock itself. You do not know. The house looks fine from the outside, but anyone who turns the handle walks in. Night 2. No streetlights, no porch lights, no alarms, no cameras, no phone in your pocket to call anyone. A knock on the door. Who is watching your house? The answer is you. Only you. And whoever is outside already knows your lights aren't coming back on. What works? A mechanical deadbolt, a real one, grade 1 ANSI, the kind with a 1-inch throw and hardened steel. A door security bar wedged under the inside handle. A Schlage mechanical keypad lock with no battery dependency on the mechanical version. A dog of any size that barks, biology, not technology, barks when a stranger is at 20 feet. And a perimeter alert that has no electronics at all. Tin cans, paracord, a handful of small stones inside each can. String the paracord between 2 trees at ankle height along the approach to your house. Anything that moves the line shakes the cans. Free. Silent until triggered. Uninterruptible. One more layer most people skip: a view. Block the obvious line of sight from the street to your windows. Heavy curtains, a tarp across the front porch, an old sheet over the kitchen glass. If your house looks the same as your neighbor's from outside, dark, quiet, closed, you do not stand out. A house with candlelight visible from the road on night 3 is an advertisement. The goal is to become invisible, not to become fortified. Your money, Most of it is not money. Most of it is a number on a screen on a server in a data center that runs on electricity and internet. Debit card needs a terminal that needs power and a network. Venmo, Zelle, Cash App. Dead apps on a dead phone. Crypto. The blockchain keeps running on surviving nodes, but you cannot access it through a dead laptop. Bank app. Dead. ATM. Dead. Even if one ATM is on backup power, it communicates with a bank's central server over fiber optic that needs switches and routers. The average American carries less than $50 in cash. Federal Reserve, 2024, Diary of Consumer Payment Choice. Your net worth on the third day of a full blackout is whatever is in your wallet. $47. Maybe. You have seen what happened in Argentina when the banks froze withdrawals overnight and the whole country woke up with savings they could not reach. They called it the corralito, the little playpen. People who had cash ate. People who had savings did not, until they sold jewelry at a quarter of its value to someone who did have cash. People who had things to trade ate best. Cigarettes, coffee, toilet paper, alcohol, antibiotics, batteries. Someone in every neighborhood became the trader. Someone else became the person who traded nothing and asked instead. The asker is a dangerous category. The asker who has children is more dangerous still. A group that has not decided in advance how to respond to the asker breaks on that decision, not on the supplies. This is not a war story. It is a bank closure that lasted long enough to become a crisis in a country with supermarkets, cell phones, and credit cards. Everything that happened in Buenos Aires can happen in any city on this continent, given the right sequence of failures. What works? Cash and small bills, 20s and smaller. $100 bills are useless because no one can make change. A roll of quarters for payphones that might still work. On backup generators for the first few hours. And trade goods that cost nothing now and become gold later. Cheap booze, pints of whiskey, vodka, over-the-counter medicine, ibuprofen, antibiotics if your doctor prescribes a course, electrolyte packets. AA and AAA batteries, disposable lighters by the dozen, real coffee in sealed cans, tobacco, salt. All of it fits in one plastic tote in a closet. All of it costs under $200 over 6 months of ordinary shopping trips. None of it requires a bank. GPS. Satellites might survive, especially the older constellation birds that are hardened for cosmic radiation. Your receiver almost certainly does not. Your phone is dead. Your car's navigation unit is dead. Your Garmin handheld, if it wasn't in the cage, dead. Your Apple Watch, your Fitbit with location services, your tablet with offline maps pre-downloaded through Google. All of them are dead screens with a memory of where you used to be. The deeper cost. A generation of adults has never navigated by anything else. Drive across a county without a screen. Most cannot. Find north on an overcast day without a phone. Most cannot. Read contour lines on a topographic map to anticipate terrain. Most cannot. This isn't criticism, it's inventory. The skill was outsourced to a satellite. When the receiver dies, the skill has to come back. GPS has been fully operational since 1995. Before 1995, humanity navigated for 5,000 years with paper, pencil, the stars, and a lodestone on a string. You will need to remember how, what works. A USGS 7.5-minute topographic map of your county, printed on waterproof paper. Free downloads from the USGS store, cost a few dollars to print at a copy shop. A Sunto MC2 or a Kemenga military lensatic compass. Basic land navigation is 2 skills, reading a topo map and shooting a bearing. Both skills can be learned in 1 weekend. New people pick it up in about 6 hours with a good instructor. Do not wait until after the pulse to print the maps. Your printer is also dead. One detail groups forget. Print more than just your home county. Print the counties between your home and your rally points, between your home and your family members, between your home and any pre-planned destination. A topographic map of the county you are standing in is of no use when the decision is whether to walk north or south to find the other half of your family. The maps weigh almost nothing. Store them in a waterproof zip bag with the compass. That is your navigation kit. Total weight, under 1 pound. Medical. This one is the quiet one. Hospitals run on electricity. Ventilators, dialysis machines, MRI and CT scanners, the pharmacy robot, the electronic health record system, the nurse call system, the elevators, the refrigerators full of insulin and vaccines, the lights in the emergency room, the door lock on the secure medication room. All of it, electric. Backup generators at hospitals are required to have fuel for about 72 hours on site. Congress EMP Commission report. After 72 hours, if no fuel resupply because the roads are full of dead cars, the hospital becomes a dark building with locked medicine cabinets and exhausted staff who cannot go home because their cars don't start either. 911 will not answer, or if it does, no ambulance is coming, because the ambulances have the same electronics as your SUV. The fire department's trucks post-2005 are all computerized. Their radios, if not hardened, are on the same grid as yours. The paramedics are on foot, if they chose to walk to the station at all. The old rule, call the professionals and they show up in 8 minutes, is a luxury of a working grid, not a law of nature. I watched a group plan for a year and never once asked who in the circle was trained for trauma care. 8 people, a garage full of supplies, and not one current first aid certification among them. What works? A real first aid kit. Not the $30 box from the pharmacy with adhesive bandages and antiseptic wipes. A trauma kit. Tourniquet. A Cat Gen 7 or soft wide, the kind real EMTs carry. Israeli pressure bandage. Wound packing gauze for deep bleeds. Chest seals for penetrating wounds. Nitrile gloves, 2 pairs in every kit. Shears that cut through denim. A roll of medical tape. Space blanket for shock. And a training. A Stop the Bleed course runs about 2 hours and is often free at local hospitals and fire departments. Red Cross First Aid and CPR is a 1-day class. Wilderness First Aid, a weekend. All of them are prerequisites, not luxuries. A first aid kit without training is a box of things you don't know how to use. Heavy, expensive, useless the first time someone is bleeding on the kitchen floor. Your prescription medications. If you or someone in your household needs insulin, blood pressure medication, thyroid replacement, antidepressants, anti-epileptic drugs, the pharmacy system runs on refrigeration and computers. Ask your doctor about a 90-day supply. Many insurance plans allow it. Rotate the supply so nothing expires. For insulin specifically, a small 12-volt refrigerator powered by the solar power station keeps a month of vials at working temperature. That is a preparation a diabetic spouse, parent, or child needs before the pulse, not after. 10 things dead. 10 things that replace them. But here is what I did not cover. How to build the Faraday cage. Not a paragraph, the actual build. Which ammo can. How to line it. Where in the house to store it. The 3 tests most people fail, including the one where the phone rings through a seal that looks perfect. And what belongs inside. Not a wish list, a priority list. 1 item at a time, in the order that matters. Because the priority list is not obvious. Most people put the phone in first. The phone is fourth. The radio is first. And there is a reason that has nothing to do with technology and everything to do with what a group needs in the first 12 hours. That is the next video. Until then, run one check tonight. Walk through your house. Count the items on the shelf, in the drawer, on the nightstand that don't need a battery or a wire. Count them honestly. Not the candles you bought 3 years ago and can't find. Not the flashlight with dead batteries. Real items, right now, accessible in the dark. If the count is under 10, you know what this week is for. Structure isn't luxury. Structure is what's still standing on day 6.